Yeah, they're both. Have you seen Brian's deer? Did she show you his deer? Did she show you Brian's deer? He got one.
Sorry to keep you.
No, you're fine. What is his name? His name is Brian. I'm sorry, we text a lot. Got that Saturday. Look at how that is. Look at that. Look how old it is. It's old. Yeah, Ohio. Yeah, they're in Kansas. They set cameras in Kansas, went to Ohio, now back in Kansas. They're crazy.
Sure, but you know.
I hate that smell. That is
What smell?
browning venison.
Ooh, that's like a nostalgic smell for me.
Yeah.
I grew up on
when I was a
venison.
kid,
So.
I
I love
like it.
venison.
I still like it. Yeah, when I was a kid, I loved it. I don't know what
We get pork mixed in ours,
That's what I've read. Yeah.
and then you have the we take it to Busy Bees over on Pioneer, and he puts pork in it. You ready? Okay, it is 7:02. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We could all rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get approval of the agenda, please?
Support.
Any discussion? Oh. Okay. We have a resignation that we need to amend for that. It has to do with baseball and Eric Johnston. So I need a new motion with the amended agenda. Okay. Jason, Amber. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent grouping. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are down to Blueprint Communication stuff.
Yes. So we've had about 3 meetings since we last met. The neatest thing that we're doing right now is this data tuning protocol, where each of the elementary schools have presented data that they have analyzed with their team's behavioral team. We're calling it the ISSN, but the building ISSN team. And they then present it to the DIT, and it is total just feedback. We're not trying to solve their problems or make changes to what they've done. We're just doing observations and professional feedback. And it's a fascinating process. And we've gone through all 4 elementary schools, and the high school, middle school team has presented how they're going to be doing their protocol as well. So that was a pretty neat thing that we've done. Continued support and learning has been done with formative assessment and Terry Morgan. The area of focus is providing positive feedback during the evaluations, and the first building walkthrough dates will be completed by the end of November. So that's always a positive thing to have that feedback going through for high quality instruction. District-wide processes for reviewing special education and compliance was rolled out, and that process is going to continue for the next 10 weeks. A results-driven accountability team has been created, and that includes Matt, who is from the ISD, Amy, and then Cheryl Corey, to work through that, to assign the roles and responsibilities to move that work forward as we seek to increase the effectiveness of our interventions for our special education students. And then we keep reviewing to stay current our data sharing dates for the calendar, but with the funeral tomorrow and the cancellation of our DIT for tomorrow, we'll probably be tweaking those dates yet again. So
Okay. Is there any way we can get a small definition card of all of our acronyms and give it to Maya?
Yes.
DIT, BIT, all those good ones, because we're
Sure.
pretty used to them now. But I think if
I
we
can do
could
that.
tell her our language, then that might help her a little bit.
Yes, I can do that.
Perfect. A
Well,
blueprint.
honestly, that was something I was going to bring up is
Mhm.
blueprint itself is still around, but I think that terminology of blueprint doesn't have as much meaning as it once did.
No.
So if we called it the DIT communication,
Mhm.
District Impact Team Communication Report, as opposed to the blueprint communication, the blueprint created these great systems for us, but now I think we're to the point of utilizing the systems, so we don't need it to necessarily be a blueprint update as much anymore as it is just a District Impact Team update.
Okay. Do you agree with that, Amy?
I do.
Katina, can we change that? Awesome. Okay, we will get that. And we'll get you some literature
sheets.
on that and cheat sheets. And then if you have any questions about it, Stephanie will be the one to answer all that because some of us are so far away from those trainings that I was going to say, no, we're getting better at it. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Any questions for Stephanie before we move on? Okay, student council report, Miss Musgrave.
Okay, so as far as November events, today we had a red and white seminar,
Okay.
which was pretty much just to acknowledge the conclusion of fall sports with cross country's conclusion at state finals on Saturday, and to point out a few outstanding student athletes that had both very high GPAs and very high accomplishments this season, among them Hunter Jones, Elise Johnson, Miley Kelly, and Kevin Hubble.
Okay.
Student council, this Thanksgiving we're starting a grateful activity. So basically we're just going to print out little cutout feathers and go around to seminars and have each student write down something they're grateful for. And then we'll make a big turkey and put all the feathers on the turkey by where ice cream is sold at the school store.
Very cool.
And for Christmas, the luncheon has decided it'll be on Tuesday, December 21st. And we're planning the half-day activities for just holidays, things to do. And there will be a raffle that day, too. We're still planning that.
Okay.
So I can give you an update on that one next board meeting. Student activities, the high school play, Harvey, is this weekend, Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. October 26th, which was 2 Tuesdays ago, there was a career fair for the seniors and a motivational speaker that came named Ann Bonnie. So that was really nice. We got to go around and look at a whole bunch of, got to talk to a whole bunch of people with different careers in the community and talk to them about what their career's like and what education. So it helps seniors look at what they might go into. And then the motivational speaker was, where are you going next in your life? So it was really nice to listen to and go to. NHS, again, the induction ceremony and letter club is on the 17th at 7 p.m. And there was a blood drive on the 2nd. That was a success. It went well. And the next one should be in January or February. It's not decided yet. And trunk or treat, which was on October 22nd, also went well. A lot of kids came to that. It was really fun. Winter sports are starting soon. Girls basketball tryouts started today.
Okay.
And for seniors, FAFSA, there will be, it's to fill out the FAFSA, seniors will have, Ms. Burris was the one that sent this email out, but I think it might be helpful for some people to know. In schools, students will have on either the 17th or the 19th a session with Ms. Burris to start filling that out. And then there will be a parent session on November 22nd from 5 to 7 p.m. to help them fill their part of the FAFSA out. And then, do you want an update on Know If You're Low?
Yeah.
Okay, so Know If You're Low is basically just a nonprofit organization that I funded, or founded, and just the paperwork just got finished, so it's official now. And it's to help currently female athletes, but hopefully in the future expanding to possibly other schools, other male athletes, and just to get their blood tested to check iron, because my levels were really low last year and a lot of athletes have had issues with it. So I think it's something that is helpful to the community and a lot of athletes to get that checked and supported.
That's awesome. One, congratulations on that, because I think that's pretty awesome that you're a high school student and you have a nonprofit under your belt already. That's just excellent. Two, that's the most in-depth student council report we've ever had, so thank you. Like, I think that's exactly what we've been wanting right there. And then on December 21st is the luncheon. Do you need help? Who usually serves that? Teachers? Or who does the serving?
I believe, I don't remember, but I can ask about
Okay.
that.
If you need board members, let us know.
Okay.
I think some of us would be more than happy to come and help.
From 5 to 7, but yes, November 22nd, and that's for parents.
And is it here?
Yeah, it's here at the high school. Ms. Burr said it will either be in the library or the Crystal Lake Computer Lab.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, huge achievement. Okay, moving on to administration report, which is, wow, L. Down to L. It's all you, Amy. Yep.
Sure. So I had a NIMSLA report today. We had a meeting at 1. We were visited by a guest speaker who shared with us some information and overview on redistricting that's happening. There was an independent commission that was supposed to redistrict and help make better districts that were a little bit more equal, and to try to eliminate some of the funky lines that have been drawn.
Congressional district.
Correct.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
school district.
No.
Correct. Yes. Sorry, I should have probably
Yeah.
clarified that right out of the gate. So this is congressional. And at this point, the commission had the goal of setting out to have some better groupings and to try to make them fair. So far, from what was shared, they have not achieved the benchmarks that they set, that they're still struggling with making sure that there was some equality in the districting, and they're still finding some little slivers of land that are, not quite as equal as they had planned. One of the things that may impact us is that the new redistricting would put John Roth and Jack O'Malley as direct competitors for a seat, and that does impact in the group that I'm in, it impacts several of those
And who
superintendents.
does John Ross represent currently?
He is Grand Traverse and whatever else is with Grand Traverse. And then Jack is Benzie, Leelanau, Manistee,
Mhm.
Ludington, and I think he's got a little sliver of
Yes.
Mason.
Mason.
So that would impact who is representing us. They also shared that the state aid budget has been finalized and finished. There is the ESSER 3 application is out. We will need to put that out for a survey to the community to get input on how we should use ESSER 3 funds. So that will be coming. Most likely we won't be using ESSER 3 until next school year at this point. There was an update on House Bill 5424 by Hornberger, and it's to prohibit school districts from paying association dues. That would be anything from the Michigan Association of School Boards to Michigan Association of Superintendents, school finance, you name it. If it has an acronym, they're saying schools can't pay for it. Jack O'Malley did reach out to me for some input on that. And I did share with him that we find value in those groups because I don't necessarily have time to follow what all of the new bills are that are coming out and pay attention to that. I also think that the Michigan Association of School Boards has been really helpful for trainings, for support. So there's a lot that those organizations provide to us that we would not necessarily either have the time or the funds to be doing on our own. So at this point, it sounds like Hornberger does not have much support for this bill, and it hasn't made it to the agenda yet, but there is a lot of opposition to this bill. Senate Bill 597 and 598 are privatizing mental health services. So they're looking to make all community mental health supports managed through Medicaid. And that's a fairly new release there. So that hasn't moved much yet. And then Bills 645 and 664 are both attendance flexibility. There is a concern because this had a lot of support and it's sort of stalled out because I think Hornberger was the person bringing that forward and now she's switched to a different package. There are only 15 legislative days left until the new year. And there is some concern that this might not move out of the House in time. And that the Senate is working on a dyslexia bill and they're putting a lot of energy into that. That is not supported by most of the education groups, but MDE is supporting it because of the narrow focus on that it will recognize dyslexia, but in the way that they're asking for it to be focused on, it's very prescriptive. There will be not much flexibility in how those students can be serviced. So lots of groups are in opposition to that. And also we touched on the ETS, which is basically the OSHA order that was put out by President Biden. They're calling it ETS because it's called an emergency temporary standards addendum to OSHA. And it's saying that by December 6th, we would have to adopt a school district policy because we have more than 100 employees requiring weekly testing of all employees unless they can verify their vaccination status. This also does include a requirement to be masked. There is some language in here about what masking should look like for employees and lots of feedback around how this order should be carried out. It has currently not been approved by MyOSHA. So again, Michigan is a state agency, so we don't follow the federal OSHA guidelines. We follow MyOSHA. And MyOSHA has not put out theirs, but they have stated that they will be in the next 30 days and that they are going to adopt this language. They're not going to modify it. I think it's Michigan 6th Circuit has put in for an injunction to stop this. There are 3 other states currently that have asked for emergency injunction to halt this process. But at any rate, they're telling us to be ready to have a policy in place by December 6th, which might require a special meeting because our next one is the 13th. So I will need policy committee to get together to adopt a policy. And this order does provide for, what's the word? Trying to think. Like a disability claim, so an ADA or religious exemption.
Oh, exemptions.
Jeez, it's late.
Yeah. So they can do exemptions.
There can be exemptions allowed in here.
Okay.
And then the board would have to set the policy on what would be allowed.
And who approves those?
What?
Did it mention that or not?
It does say that there will be exemptions allowed.
No, as far as who makes that call.
I think that would be left up to the employer to allow those exemptions.
Yeah.
But you have to provide for religious exemption and you do have to provide for ADA exemptions.
Okay.
So that was NIMSLA.
So we need to get a policy committee on the board and we'll figure that out.
Yeah. Any questions about that? That's fun. Okay, so next on our agenda is the emergency response guide that Deputy Miller put together, and he's back to share the finished product.
You only brought one?
Well, I get to follow that.
Yeah, because online. Sorry.
All right, well, I'm back. Welcome again. Good to see you. So this has been quite the process. As you guys know, we've talked about this booklet for 2 meetings, I think, maybe 3. But it's finally done and in our possession. So here's our finished product. With that,
Just take it off.
with that, obviously you see on the front cover the need help. It essentially
Can I put that up right now?
It is, it's exactly what we wanted though. The cards came in perfectly. We can remove them when Crystal Lake moves places, we basically have what we need. Now we can adjust for changing or policy updates or whatever new emergencies that didn't cross my brain. But it came through. It came out great. We have 6 or 7 boxes.
Wow.
I believe we got 200 of them. So actually Wednesday before school, I meet with every teacher in this building, middle school, high school, to pass them out. Then I'll head over to Crystal Lake and hand out theirs. We have hooks for the classrooms that I'll get our maintenance and custodial staff to hook on the, that's really hard to concentrate, on the walls. No, you are. So everything will be hanging, so there's no excuse. It goes kind of right where those red and yellow cards are on the wall there, right by the door, so teachers, they know exactly what to do. So excited how it came out.
What is yellow?
So yellow is more of our, so I just put a breaker in there because everything would look kind of everything together.
Right.
So that's just a page break. Everything from front cover to yellow is kind of more of our standard, more emergent things, more common, as opposed to the backside, which is like electrical malfunctions or hazmat stuff and things that could still happen, and we have a policy for it, but not as likely. Electrical and weather and stuff, yeah, but it's not as high intense, I guess. So that's all that is. The reason I like the cards with the need help and the all clear on the bottom is because
It's bright.
in a chaotic scene that we would need to deploy boots and get that going, those will still fit under the door. We as law enforcement, when we do our secondary sweep, can see those easier than if somebody's worked up, either forgets their card or they just chuck it. Well, now it's maybe in the middle of the hallway on the other side. Who does this belong to? So it's just more of a stable, I guess, signage as long as they use it. So pretty excited. So Wednesday we'll start passing them out and get it rocking. So we'll all have, Frankfurt's got theirs. We have ours. The entire county has the same book, different cover. So responding agencies will do the exact same at both schools. Mass casualty or some large scale situation, Frankfurt PD and even some teachers are going to come over and help us, vice versa. This takes a huge step out of it because it's teachers from Frankfurt or teachers from Benzie that go help Frankfurt don't have to say, what do you guys do there? It's going to be uniform, law enforcement agencies, EMS, medical, everybody will have the same. On that, we have a training that we're going to do during Christmas break. Law enforcement, police, medical, everybody will be coming in here. I'll be teaching about the boot system. A lot of our guys have seen it, like our day guys. I've taken to different lockdowns just so they see what's going on. Each individual patrol car will have a key that will pop those boots, so teachers don't have to or anything like that. I have 2. Each building has 1, but each patrol car in the county will have those. So we're going to do a large-scale training exercise here in the school. I think
December.
They're Saturdays.
Oh,
December, maybe 18th or something. There's 2 different dates. One's at Frankfurt, one's here. So all our guys will be proficient in hopes that we'll never have to use it. But we'll have it. That's all that matters. So any questions on that stuff?
Awesome.
Yeah, they came out great. The only other thing I got is this has been an extremely busy year. I haven't been able to really get to the elementary schools because of how busy it is here. In the 4 years I've been here, this is by far to date where I've been busiest by like 10 times. I mean, it's been absolute chaos, but the world's absolute chaos. So it is what it is. You know, we're still dealing with stuff, but so the elementary schools, I've been there obviously, but not as much as I'd like to. When I started the school year, it was once a week at every school, but that's really dwindled because of how busy we are. And it's not little stuff. There's like bigger things, happening. So we'll get rolling. We're getting through it and keep on keeping on, I guess. Any other questions for me?
So you are going to be on the millage for this fall, but then I think Sheriff Rosa found some money.
I think we're good through next. I would hate to. I know we're good.
You don't
through
have
this
to
year.
give direct dates.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know we're good through this year.
Okay. I
That's
just want to
for
make sure I didn't miss something.
Yeah, no, we're good through this year.
Okay.
Because of the way that started, I think it was adopted November, but started in January, so that gave us a half a year in
Okay.
taxable. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just the police.
Hey.
So, cool.
Well, the reason we ask is because we like you. So
Yeah,
we want to keep
we
you
do
around.
need to start thinking about it.
Yeah.
We have our school safety planning committee meets all the time. We kind of bumped that down to about a quarterly meeting, but we'll ramp that back up because we are getting to the end of the life cycle. We'll want to push that. It's going to be coming soon, whether it be the primary in August or next, or the, what do they call that? November or August, one of the two.
Yeah.
So, but we will need to get wording. There's some things we're looking at doing, and just want to get it rolling because it's been a great thing. It really has. Still enjoy it.
Good.
Hair's getting gray, but
Yeah.
so yeah. Any other questions? You guys know how to get a hold of me. Drop me an email, give me a shout. So we'll get these passed out and good to go.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Congratulations on your wedding also.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we're still married. That's a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say that. But I think that's the answer to the gray. Thanks, Jeff.
Next on the agenda is Steve Grates with an update from Crystal Lake.
We also have
Right.
we have extra portables too, Chris and Lori's, if you want to not have a microphone.
Maybe it turned off. What do I? This? All right. Well,
Mhm.
thanks for having me here to share with you an update from Crystal Lake. I'll invite Mrs. Dameron, Susan Dameron, and Mrs. Gramzo up to join me here as we kind of go through what we've decided to share an update on here at Crystal Lake. So, Susan, Kim. Susan is a kindergarten and first grade split teacher at Crystal Lake, and Kim is the literacy coach for all the elementaries. So we've had the privilege of piloting for the district a standards-based report card, and Crystal Lake Elementary is doing just that. Now, this work began well before I arrived on the scene in August, but it's something that our teachers at Crystal Lake this year have been working very hard to get off the ground, as Susan, I'm sure, will share a little bit about here in a moment. But I wanted to take us through the why, I guess, as to the standards-based report card. Now, for years and years, a report card at any grade, really, once you get up into at least like second or third grade, looks something like this, where there would be a letter grade that would be attached to a class, a subject. And, you do that 4 times throughout the year, and you've got your report card. For the amount of time that kids spend in a classroom in a school over the course of the school year, for it to be really boiled down to just this, as far as a report to the parents and guardians, and for it to have been that way for so long really is kind of a little crazy to all of us. We have that one day of conferences, maybe 2 or 3 days of conferences in October. Other than that, as far as required communication in terms of what it is that teachers are teaching and students are learning, is well overdue for an update. So let me tell you what the update looks like. Before we do that, though, let's take a little closer look at that report card there. If you get rid of where the teacher comments are, and I've blocked those out so you couldn't see them anyway, but that's really all there was room for a little bit of text there, which is sufficient, I'd say, for comments. You're looking at just the grades. And so I guess just one basic question you could ask when you look at, if I can try this laser, math, and you look over here, C+, what specific math concepts might my child and I practice over the summer in order to be prepared for 5th grade, as this 4th grader here is getting ready to go to 5th grade after that 4th quarter report card. And that's what you get on the last day of school, right? And I guess in order to be able to answer that question, you'd have to know what it was in fourth grade that the student was average in terms of their proficiency on. And this doesn't tell you that unless you have that conference with the parent and with the teacher, excuse me. So with the new report card, and this is going to look very busy on the next slide, it's 2 pages, front and back of one, and I put it on one slide, so I'll prepare you in advance here. Top left, some of those same pieces that were on the original, attendance, some of the student services, the demographics of the grade, teacher, school year, school address, and so forth. But you work your way down the first page and you see a proficiency scale. It's very different than a grading scale. A grading scale, A, B, C, D, is really a function that is a result of a bunch of scores that get put into a grade book. And it's an average. After some weights are added, you get a grade. It's really a judgment. It's like a final stamp. Whereas the proficiency scale really is a scale. It's a progression of learning. So the intent is to inform parents where their child is at along the learning continuum. We're trying to take students from introducing this new standard to them, where everyone would probably be at a 1, unless they had previously been exposed to it in a previous grade or at home, along the path to where they're at 2, approaching proficiency, a 3, which is really the goal of the teachers in the school, is to have proficiency. And there will be rare occasions where we'll have students that demonstrate that they've gone beyond the grade level proficiency, and they'll be at a 4. But like I said, it's kind of hard to see even though it's enlarged here on the screen. So let me go to just the math again. So I'm going to zoom in on this part right there. Okay, on the next slide, so you can see a little bit more specifically. We can ask that same question again that we started with. So what specific math concepts might my child and I practice now that we've got it broken down into what a student is working on in that particular grade in this particular first quarter? Okay, you've got some 3s here, which means they are at the proficiency level for those standards, and a couple of 2s, which means they're approaching proficiency. And a parent might say, okay, now this might be where I could spend a little bit of time working with my student, working with my child, applying the commutative property to solve multiplication problems. Oh, okay, so you know what? 5 times 4 is the same product as you will get as when you do 4 times 5. So we can work on that kind of understanding. That is something that a parent could log into the Khan Academy, log into, even something as simple as just a Google search or a YouTube to watch a video, or to pick up a text somewhere, or ask questions that are a little bit more specific to their student to work on things. So that's the why. That's the purpose of this. That's and our team. I got to hand it to Kim and Susan, the curriculum team at the elementary level, and Crystal Lake's teaching team have done so much work. I've been learning right alongside them these first 9 weeks of the school year to get this launched, but the groundwork was laid well before I got there. So I actually asked if Susan could come to share a little bit about that before I take some questions, and be happy to answer any questions you might have about that, the report card. Susan?
I don't know if many of you know, but I was in my previous life as administrator, so this is like the 4th school district that I have helped to implement standard-based report cards. These are absolutely critical foundation to everything you do moving forward, right? How to hold teachers accountable, what principals, when they're going in to do observations, are looking for, right? So Steve can come into my room and he can say, okay, in this quarter, Susan's working on these standards. Where do I see evidence of that? Do I see it? Do I see it on her walls? Do I see it in her teaching, right? And then beyond that, the next step to this is developing the common assessments that we can give throughout the district that'll match up to each one of these standards. So this is like foundations to everything that you do moving forward. It helps teachers to understand specifically what they're responsible for, right? And also helps parents to better understand where their kids are low and what they can do to help. It's also like a huge lift. So Brooke had already done a lot of work with the curriculum team on mapping out those standards. Where do we teach them in the first quarter? Where do we do them in the second quarter, third quarter? And I know that she presented to you through that whole process. So that alone, that little piece alone was really big, time consuming, takes a lot of time. You're in a room on multiple days, cutting up those standards, laying them out, assessing, okay, does this make sense? Does this progress to this stage? So that's huge. And Crystal Lake volunteered to step up and try to implement these years. And I will tell you that it's been messy. All change is, right? There's nothing that isn't messy. And it's been a struggle. And people are struggling with it. You know, teachers are at a wide range, just like our kids are, right? You have those that really need it laid out and ready to go and don't deal well with things when they don't go well. And then you've got other people who go, oh, I've got this. Yeah, we can do that. We can do this. We can do that. So it's been a struggle for all of them. And they have really worked hard at it. The ISD did not have the report cards ready for us when they said they were going to, so we only got those last Monday. And then we have begun to work on some of those assessment pieces, those county assessment pieces, which I absolutely hope that we're going to get other buildings involved with that, because that is another big piece to this. But this is going to be the piece that really helps you guys to understand where are we academically as we start looking toward our testing in the spring, right? Where are we going to hit? And those common assessments are going to be critical, because we can look at that and say, you know, I teach kindergarten, so I work with Tracy, and I could say, wow, Tracy, your kids really understood how to do one-to-one correspondence. What are you doing in your classroom that I can now take and implement in mine? And we can have those conversations as a kindergarten team, as a first grade team, as a third grade team. So I just want you guys to know how fortunate you are doing this. A lot of people won't touch it because it is so much work. And it's painful and it's messy and it's just, and I'm sure you are going to hear people complain about it. But I will tell you, in the end, every district that I have ever implemented with these, and teachers have ended up loving them, because it takes away the nebulousness of the grade that you're giving kids, and the nebulous of what you're responsible for teaching. So we all got to hang in there and get through it. But do know that they are working really hard, and it's been painful. It's been painful, but we will get to the other side because they're great. But this is the core of, in my opinion, you got to have these before you can do everything else. Before you can hold people accountable, before teachers can understand what they're accountable for what we know, what we're testing kids on. So it's kind of your core of moving forward as you make changes and try to improve our school scores across the district. It's been fun to do, but maybe this will be the last candidate.
You never know. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
And again, Kim's been working with us to carve time out of our week to work together as professionals and get some of those, work through some of those messes in our PLC groups. So thanks to Kim again for being here tonight and working through it to get us to this point. We're by no means finished with the work, but we're ready to roll out that first report card. What questions do you have for us?
So are parents going to get some sort of education on how to read these?
Absolutely. Well, in terms of letting them know it's coming and telling them how to go about reading it, yeah. Like what, why, and how, yes.
So like an evening session or in a newsletter, or how are you going to do that?
Combination of things. There's going to be an accompanying document that goes home with the report card to explain basically like how to read it, but making myself available too for
We
that.
also shared them at conferences.
Okay.
So it's seen them
So the
Okay.
parents who
about
came
what
in
to
at
look
least,
for
gotcha.
and what to
Okay.
ask questions about, so.
So are we going to also break down some of the jargon? Because when I see commutative property to solve multiplication problems, I would probably go Google that, but then I don't know if that's the resource you want to have. Are we putting resources together or in the future?
Yeah,
help
a
with
couple
that?
things on that. First, our curriculum team really did a nice job of rephrasing a lot of the standards in a way that would be much more usable and also understandable
Thank you.
for students, for parents, for teachers. What they put together took a step further than maybe what the ISD team and what Power School and what Otis was ready for.
Okay.
Because we had a like homegrown custom
Perfect.
to the point where it was fantastic. We kind of had to take a step back to make it so that it would work with Power School. And I say that because it really is something that at some point we're going to be able to use Otis to assess students,
Mhm.
and then it automatically informs into Power School and has
That's
the
nice.
scores
Mhm.
there. But in order to be able to do that down the road, like next school year,
Yeah.
we had to have these specific standards. Now, whether we'll be able to change the wording of it and have it still work, that's the next step we've already started
Yeah.
to work on. Because that's absolutely an issue. We want to make sure it's usable.
Exactly.
Thank you. Good question.
And then once we are, like, we have cycled through an entire year of these, will we be surveying parents for a data point to see if they feel that these were more helpful or more confusing, or, just to see what their thoughts are, since they are the customer of these?
Yeah, absolutely right. So this is a pilot, and we are definitely not trying to put something out there and just as a yes or a no, but rather like, how did this work?
Yeah.
In what ways did it not work? How can we improve it? Because we do want to make it usable, and the only people who are going to really be able to give us the kind of input that we're going to need are going to be those parents, those families, but also teachers.
Yeah.
Because I think that they've already shaped what it's become and are going to continue to do that. So.
Yeah, because we were all, raised with ABCD. We know
Mhm.
what they mean. A report card like this will take a great deal of education for the parents to embrace.
Is it a lot more work for the teachers?
Yes.
Sure.
In many ways. In the planning stages, how we teach, how we approach instruction is completely different when we're looking at this, as opposed to there being assignments that get put into Power School. You earned a 80% on this little quiz. That used to just calculate in and create, a grade, whereas now it's, well, what standard are you now proficient at based on the fact that you got an 80
Yeah,
on
which
that quiz?
question did you miss, which relates to this standard?
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
The benefit of Otis is that there will be standards that you can have tied to a question, that you can build assessments in there, so that will automatically populate into your report card eventually.
Mhm.
So that's why it's important that we're trying to get this aligned,
Makes
because
sense.
down the road, it will be easier for teachers to be able to assign those assignments and have kids.
And which is why all third grade teachers across the entire district are working together on this. So it's not just the Crystal Lake third grade teacher that is trying to hammer this out by themselves. It's very much a team approach.
Right now, they're definitely the ones that are carrying the lion's share
Yeah, they
of-
are.
Yeah.
of putting this pilot program out there.
Mhm.
But I think it will be really helpful because they're already uncovering some things that we can fix for the future. And hopefully they'll have some good feedback for us.
So do I understand then that, let's take a first grade classroom. There are 4 different report cards. It's not like they are currently where it's first quarter, second, third, fourth. It's their different standards each time, correct?
That's correct. Sometimes a standard is a year-long standard, and other times it is just taught and learned and assessed during the, say, third quarter. And so every report card is going to look differently. And so for some standards, parents will be able to say, oh, it looks like we made progress from one quarter to the other.
Right.
But on other standards,
They're
that's
gonna
not the
have a
case.
clue,
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
It is really
Well,
neat.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take all the credit on that one, that's for sure. But it's been a nice.
Kudos to
progress,
everyone
big
involved.
project for the team there. Anything else?
Can you zoom into that student services or at least read to me what they are? Because I can't see.
Yeah, well, math intervention, reading intervention, special education, math, special education reading, SafeNet, speech and language, ELL, English language learner.
Okay.
Mhm.
So intervention is different than special education.
If a student's just performing below grade level, they may need an intervention, a short period of time where they're worked with for a short time during the day, and that would be, they wouldn't require an IEP.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
Yep.
That's
In order for that to happen.
And I don't know if you wanted to talk about Kim's role necessarily, but you guys know that we have a literacy coach. And
Yeah.
Kim is the new person that's handling that this year. And Kim is meeting with each elementary building every week, and they're having PLCs to help support the standards that are being taught. And one of the things that she's working on is helping them write their lesson plans to go along with the standard. What assessment are they using? Setting SMART goals. So quite a bit of stuff going. I don't know if you want to share any of what that his like,
Yes, yes.
I mean,
sure.
you
Take
have a
the
big
opportunity
job
because
and-
it's big work that she's been starting to get off the ground this year with the PLCs for grade level, all the third grade teachers in the district talking together about this work.
Right.
That's something that she's
Mhm.
worked hard to get going and is happening. Just getting started, but go ahead. Talking.
Yeah.
Your turn.
Yeah, so I have been meeting weekly with each building. In some of them are by grade level and others are cross grade level because there aren't more than one first grade or more than one second grade. And then on top of that, once a month I have a grade level PLC across the district where all third grade teachers will meet, all second grade teachers will meet. In those PLCs, we've been working on trying to start looking at the data we have from all the assessments that we're doing and really trying to focus in on where we need to put some of our efforts to try and raise some of those deficiencies that we're seeing. Setting goals as teachers of what we want to work on and what we want to see happen based on those goals. And then doing the same thing across the district. You know, all first grade teachers have set a goal, all second grade teachers have set a goal based on the results of the NWA assessments that we've given. We've also worked on learning the Otis platform so that teachers can use that system to give an assessment across the district that would be common. So that's a big process as well, learning a whole new system, learning where the assessments are, creating assessments if they're not already in there. So that's been a huge learning curve for teachers as well. But something that they are all working on, working towards. What else? No, that's a lot right there. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. She's doing a great job. And the nice part is that she is able to bridge all three elementaries so that we can start getting some commonality among the buildings and the systems and the processes that are set up and helping them support, like you said, those singleton grades. It's nice to have somebody that can support them. So thank you for that, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That it for you, Steve? You got
Yep,
more?
You want to leave this?
Yeah,
right
you can
here?
leave that there.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next item on here is the 2 new bus purchases. Mary presented to us a few months back and shared that she was ordering 2 buses. When she ordered those buses, she was told by Zaremba that most likely it's going to be about 5 to 7 months before those buses might arrive. And so they recommended that we order the 2 additional buses that we were going to order in the fall now. So Mary is requesting that we move forward with ordering 2 2023 International 71 passenger buses. These will both have the gas engines, and each bus is $96,697.
And these were buses we had already, I mean, they were already being planned for, just ordered later.
Correct. Yeah, we had paused to wait until the grant cycle opened in September. And then we were told that we didn't qualify because that would allow us to trade in any bus older than, I think it was a 16.
Yeah.
And so any of those buses could be traded in and we would receive a rebate. So it was like $5,000, I believe, per bus. And so we were hoping to be able to trade in 4 of our buses. I'm sorry, 20,000 per bus. Like that's just too low. So we were hoping to trade in 4 buses to be able to purchase another. So we were going to get 5 buses, basically the 2 that we ordered plus these 2. Then when we found out that we didn't qualify, we decided that we're just going to order the next 2 in the series. I think our bond, we had about $888,000, which at these rates are now going to be a little less than 10 buses. We're more like 8 buses, but so we're still hoping to order. And then Justin and I did set aside money last year for a new bus purchase. So we're going to try to do that every year, set aside enough to renew another bus. So hopefully we'll have a new fleet in the next 3 to 4 years.
How much do we have to put down with the order of 2 more? Is that coming out of sinking fund, or do we have to put anything down, or is it pay on arrival?
I believe it's pay on arrival.
Okay.
Yeah. And that would come out of our bond.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's still, I keep asking this. She is assured that these gas buses will be efficient for us in northern Michigan winters.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Then I'm going
She
to hold her
did
to it.
tell me, and I've lost it now. There is a district near here. I don't want to, I feel like I want to say Gaylord, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's Gaylord. But there is a district that is northern Michigan. Yes.
And it's
Yep.
been efficient. And I wasn't here for that meeting,
Yeah.
so that's why I
Yeah.
didn't see that.
And I think her old district is all.
Yep. She did tell me
yes.
that. So, okay. Just want to make sure.
Okay, next on here is the R0 and ionization machines. And I believe that we have somebody online, Dennis. We have, I think it's Braxton maybe, and Brian from Bright Light. Basically, these are the technologies that we demoed at Lake Ann. Mike Zielinski was part of that. The R0 machine is the one that will do a cleaning of the room in 7 minutes. So it can be wheeled from one room, can be turned on. It's motion sensitive, so it'll shut off in case anybody's there. But it's supposed to kill any of the bacteria or viruses in the air. The other technology is the ionization technology, and that would plug into the air handling units that we already have. So we're looking at targeting right now Lake Ann because they are not getting new air handling units, and they have rooftop units with the in-floor. So we would be looking at purchasing units for Lake Ann. And then also Crystal Lake has 11 horizontal vent heaters. And so we're looking at buying ionization for those 11 ones. And then they're only 3 years old. So once Crystal Lake is closed and the new elementary opens, those could potentially be taken over to Betsy Valley because there's 11 classrooms that have horizontal units there. And I think it makes sense for a couple of reasons. One being it's hard to get items now, and I'm sure you guys can attest to that. So that's one reason we would know for sure we would have heating units, but also they're about $10,000 per unit, and that could save us, about $110,000. So of course there's going to be costs, but even if we save around $100,000, that is good for the bottom line, considering that most of the things that we're looking at purchasing continue to go up in price. I don't know who is on. Let me see. It looks like, is that Braxton and Jessica are on. I'm not sure if you guys have any specific questions you might want to ask them. I'll
Hi guys, this is Brian Harrison. I was able to come up and join and do the demo a few weeks back, and I really appreciate obviously the time. Getting to know Amy and Mike and the team has been great, and just can't say enough good things about everything you guys are doing up in northern Michigan. So thank you. Thanks for having us sit in.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Wins, and I'm the CEO of Bright Light Technologies. And it's just been an honor working with your team over at Benzie Community Schools. And we look forward to helping create and maintain safe environment for your students and in-person learning and integrating the best technologies in the industry to do that.
Does anybody have any questions about any of our stuff? If not, that's okay.
It is very thorough.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Was there
The information that we received was pretty thorough.
Okay, fantastic.
Is there any districts in our area right now that are also purchasing the same?
I don't think so as of right now. I know we've been talking with several. I know when I talked to Mike, he was going to actually mention it to a couple of his facilities colleagues. And we are doing some different projects downstate and getting lined up for some implementation in some larger districts. I know certainly you guys have the largest physical footprint of any district in the state, so that's a blessing and a curse in northern Michigan with winter, but it sounds like those new buses will handle that just fine.
Mhm.
So no, I don't believe at this time any other districts are implementing this in around you guys right now.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
But yeah, our technology's been installed in over 100,000 installations in the United States as a whole. So there's school districts all over the nation that are integrating our technology. And the R0 is the fastest growing UVC tower in the country with over 1,500 schools that have integrated R0 in their school districts. So
Wonderful, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I should have also mentioned too that we are purchasing 40 of the ionizations for the buses. So there would be two, one in the front of the bus, one in the back of the bus, so that the buses will also be able to handle that. And they are portable and they can be moved. So if we put them in a bus now, but our new bus comes, we can move those out.
Perfect.
yeah, they can be uninstalled. They're not technically portable. We install them and they stay fixed in the bus, but when you want to move them, you can.
Yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said portable.
No, it works.
You didn't think there was going to be something
There's
portable.
another unit that we are looking at purchasing that is portable, and I can't remember what it's called, but that one would be used up in the wrestling room for the mats because we don't want to move the R0 up and down stairs. But that would be able to clean the space in 30 minutes, and that could be used on a bus. If we had a student that was COVID positive, it could be put on the bus and used to disinfect the entire bus in 30 minutes.
Wonderful.
We are working with Jessica and Brian. So the quote currently, I think, is $310,493.50. We did register with National Buy Board, which means that is used as the competitive bid pricing. So we don't need to go out for bid for these because they've already done that work. And we are also working with them to try to get reimbursed through FEMA. And Jessica told us that she's had schools that have been able to be reimbursed 100%. Correct. Yes. So
Innovators in Northern Michigan, I feel like maybe we should.
Yeah.
Qualify.
right. So I think Justin has applied for the FEMA application that he was supposed to do. We're just waiting to hear back from FEMA for next steps. We would need to pay for this out of fund balance. And then if we do that, we could have FEMA reimburse us. If we don't end up getting any support through FEMA, then we could use ESSER funding to pay back. Correct. Yes. But you can't pay with ESSER now and get reimbursed from FEMA.
That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. Did I forget anything?
I think you did a great job.
I don't think so. Again,
All
thanks
right.
for letting us sit in, guys. We really appreciate it, and we're excited to keep your students healthy and everybody safe. So,
Thank you for all your hard work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
of course, have a good night, guys.
Good
We're gonna
evening.
take off. Enjoy the
you
rest
too.
of your meeting.
Thanks.
Drive safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, there's one right here. Okay, next on the agenda is the request for auditorium bids. And so Brett Emerson is currently our bond technology consultant. And it was brought to my attention last year that our auditorium is due for a sound upgrade and lighting upgrade. It is now 21, going on 22 years old. And
99.
I know. So we'd like to upgrade with LED for cost savings, but also the sound board that we have is actually a borrowed board. Our original no longer works. And there is much better technology out there now. We also don't have any wireless mics for performances. Some of the equipment no longer works from the booth to the stage. So we are looking to move that into wireless technology. And the bids that we received last year, which of course everything has gone up, were between $200,000 and $300,000. And so we're looking to see if that's something that you would like us to move forward with, to have Brett put that out for bid and see what we get. And then of course we would use our ESSER funds to pay for that upgrade. And if there are any efficiencies in bidding, which we may need electrical. We could try to bundle that with some of the high school work that we're doing and try to get some efficiencies on that.
And seeing that we are upgrading to LED, would there be a possibility of getting grants for efficiency
Grants
like
or
we did on the
rebates?
ones above us right now?
Yeah, there could be. I can ask Mike if he is aware of any right now.
Okay.
Consumers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
those two.
Yeah. And we're consumers
And we're
here,
consumers
so
here. Yep.
yeah, if there is anything we can help,
Okay, I will do that.
perfect.
So next is the snow removal bids. We had that snafu with snow removal that they did not put it in the paper in time. So we were able to put that back. The newspaper did end up putting it in.
Luckily, we haven't had any snow.
Right. I'm really grateful for that. So we ended up with only 3 bids turned in. And so we're recommending that we award the bid for 3-year snow removal contract to AJ's Excavating for middle school, high school, Crystal Lake, and Lake Ann Elementary, and to go with Signature Services for 3 years at Betsy Valley.
Who had our contract before?
Previously, we had Interlock and Towing for Betsy Valley and Lake Ann, and I believe AJ's had the other ones.
Was it interlock and towing or trucking?
It was trucking and towing.
Okay. I'm like, wait a second.
Yes, it was trucking.
Did they submit a bid again?
They did, and the other bid was, I believe, $700 less. So next on here is the district athletic credit card for Eli. Eli is our athletics director, but is through ESS. So we're looking for approval for him. And then we also add Mike Hammer and Mike Hammer to the list for credit card abilities. Anything else? After that, next thing on here is I see it's separated. One-time payment for all staff for extra duties as assigned due to COVID. We are looking to provide a bonus to all staff that would be paid out in December for $500 per employee. After going through all of our employees, we would have 162 people. That would also include our 5 designated subs that have committed to work for us this year, as well as our 2 IT people from the ISD. So looking at Dennis and Bernie as well. Also paying for all of our preschool staff that are paid through WillSub. And so the total is $81,000 to provide that bonus. And I think it's very fitting. The first 9 weeks have been quite a challenge. And I think it would be a great thank you for our hardworking employees to know that their service to the students and families are much appreciated.
I thought of it.
It could be more.
Yeah, I wish it could be more. One thing I forgot that I didn't ask you the other day, is this going to be with their paycheck or are we submitting a separate check to them?
I believe it would go through their payroll. The only people that would be a separate check would be like
The ones that aren't
Will
on our
said,
payroll.
or like Dennis and Bernie because they're in a different.
So I would just be careful of tax ramifications.
Exactly. We get that at our work and you don't get it because of the tax ramifications of it. So
I will check to see if they can do a separate check run for that.
I know that's so horrible. I know
That's
that's a lot of work on
definitely
Justin, but I'm
a
just trying to
Justin
keep,
question.
Yes, it is.
yeah. If we can keep more in the pocketbook for our employees, I think we should try. And Justin can call and yell at me tomorrow. I'll help him stuff envelopes.
All right, perfect. Next is resignations. We have Deanna Conrad at Crystal Lake, Amy Eggleston, track and field coach for middle school, Micah Holstein, PM custodian here at the middle school, high school, and Steve Wright, the junior volleyball coach at the high school, and then the added one of Eric Johnston, high school baseball. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have King Scott representatives, John Davids and Brendan Pollard, to talk to us about our bond projects and give an update on the projects that are getting ready to go out for bid.
Well, good evening. We're going to tag team this a little bit as soon as we get that
You can take your mask off if you would like to,
plugged in.
so you can talk.
When we get those ionization machines, can we also come in?
I was just happy about the wrestling room.
Yes.
Petri dish up there.
Does it help with smell? Teenage boys. I think it's supposed to.
Bacteria.
Awesome.
Please help us.
Can I get a personal size one for at home then? My teenage son's bedroom. The shoes. It's either that or. Yeah. He left his shoes in my van one night, and I opened the door the next morning. It was like, and this was before the weather got cold. It was still warm, rather warm. I'm like, oh, we're taking Dad's truck. Like, this is bad. Oh.
All right, we'll see if this works. There we go. All right, so we're going to go through all the projects tonight, just very briefly, and update you on some of the updates that have occurred as we develop the projects. They're all getting very close. If they're not already out for bid, they're getting very close. So high school phase 1 here. Does this have a laser pointer? No.
It supposedly does.
That's all right. So everything in gray is your existing building. The lighter red is the remodeled areas. And then we have the addition, which is the weight room in the darker red. And that will be off to the west side of the building. Within the remodeling, again, it's locker room remodeling, bleachers in the gym, concessions, officials room, toilet rooms, new display cases, then the auditorium lobby flooring. The middle. Okay. Oh, look at that. Hot dog. All right. So then the next image shows the site plan and where this is located. So the light gray is the existing building here. The new addition out here to the west will actually cut off a little bit of the parking here. And we'll be expanding the septic field in order to handle the septic from the auditorium restrooms. And then we'll have the entrance into the addition will be right here, and there will be a walk and a barrier-free ramp. This is going to get updated a little bit because we made some modifications as to where the doors are on the outside of the building, but for the most part, it's as you see it here. And then the exterior. So one of the updates we did for cost efficiency, if you recall, originally we had a couple extra columns in here. Those were more decorative than anything, and so we eliminated those. And actually, I think that was a good improvement for cost savings. You'll get some better vision through there and save a little bit of money. But the entrance will be down at the end of this kind of colonnade here. This door is going to move to the other side, and that's to help with loading equipment into the weight room itself and to avoid having anybody driving on the grass here on top of the septic field. So that was a good improvement as well. And then on the north side, if you recall, we had some columns here. We've eliminated those. We don't really need to have an overhang there. We don't have any sun exposure there. So we're keeping the red fascia metal over those windows, but we won't have the decorative columns. And you'll still have a really nice look there. So,
and the doors will be on the side.
And the doors will be, yep, right in here. Yeah. So that's those are the major updates on the high school phase 1 project. Do you have any questions before I move to the next? All
Is the
right.
idea that when there's like sporting events on weekends or something like that, they would be using that entrance, or no, they would be using like the
Auditorium entrance.
Are you talking about the entrance on this side?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really more for kind of the after hours use because you can lock off the addition from the rest of the building so you can have access after hours.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense. Okay.
And then this maintains the entrance into the building, which you can't really see here, but it's off the page. All right, now we're going to move on to that new elementary.
All right, so our team is busy working on the construction documents for this, and you're probably aware of some of the wrestling matches we've had over access to the site on this side with the high pressure gas line across here. So we finally got approval to cross one place. So we've had to completely redesign the site. So we have one way in and out of the site, but we still have a good separation. So the bus loop will drop kids off at the back with an entrance right near the bus loop. Parent drop off will be at the front with an entrance right at the front. And then there's also some parking here for the preschool program with an entrance right here. So everything is still well located, just a matter of how many times we cross the line. We've also made some adjustments in the play areas of where the kindergarten or the preschool area is versus the lower elementary and upper elementary play areas. But we still have the walking path back here and the berm and all the features. We've just had to relocate a couple of them. We're still wrestling a little bit with where to put some of the site drainage. It's very difficult back here, but we're looking at places where we can retain some storm water in the middle of the loop and in some other areas and kind of keep them away from where the kids are playing. So basically, the big change was just the number of crossings here. But the good news here was that it did shorten up the amount of road we had to kind of come across from Homestead. Is a shorter dimension here to get to this driveway, and we still have good separation between buses and parent drop off. So next is, So the plan really hasn't changed except for the far north end of the building. So this building is rotated. This is north to the left, actually. So, here's the main entrance through the parking lot. Here's that bus entrance we talked about. Service area back here, mechanical, kitchen, receiving, all the kind of the business end of the building back here. And on this end, we actually made some modifications a few weeks ago to kind of flip things around and get the pre-K rooms on the east side of the building right next to the pre-K play area out here and flip-flop them with the kindergarten rooms, which are on the end still, first and second. So the lower elementary wing, we made some changes and we were able to actually even this up so that these are not stepped like they were in the past, so that those are kind of even on the end, kind of like the south end of the building is. So still the same concept of this is basically the upper L wing, the lower L wing, and then kind of the community spaces in the middle, centered around the gymnasium and the cafeteria and the media center. And then, having the art room next to the media center is really going to be nice. And having music next to the cafeteria commons is going to be great too. So it's a nice organization of spaces. And like I said, we're only a couple weeks away now from getting this thing out to Woolgas to put the bid documents together. And then this was the, when we went over last time, remember we had the little selection process for the materials. And then I think we're going to talk a little bit about Lake Ann.
So Lake Ann really hasn't changed, but just for an update, pre-kindergarten or pre-K classrooms here, we've got 2 of those, extending the circulation out. So they'll have a coat area corridor space that goes out to the playground area, and then remodeling the existing staff and computer lab into a third pre-K classroom with an office and some storage spaces for that program. Do we have a site plan?
Where's the teacher's lounge moving to?
I think Barry said that they're gonna move it to a classroom. I think it's gonna be either one of those classrooms that are down, either that one across from the office or the one on the other side that's in preschool currently. So we
Oh,
have
this
2
one
preschools
here.
right there.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, one of
Yep.
those.
Okay.
And then site plan wise, here's the addition. The existing corridor comes out here, so we'll have a little bit of a ramping down. We've got the lower exit from the gymnasium. If you recall, that step down a few steps. So there will be a gradual sloped sidewalk here to get down to that lower elevation that comes out of the gymnasium. And then the grading wise, you'll see a little bit of exposed foundation here, but that's really the back of the building, and nobody's really going to ever see that other than the folks who are kind of mowing the lawn. So we didn't think that was a bad thing. And then it'll just grade up to this area here, which is the entrance from the playground. Okay. Any questions on that? I don't have a 3D on that one. Off to the transportation building. We didn't plan this out very well.
Yeah, I know.
It's perfect.
We're not very smart.
It's okay.
So the transportation building, again, we're trying to kind of find some ways to make things more efficiently designed. So we were able to actually reduce some paving area, reduce some concrete area in the middle, which is the heavier duty paving in there. The building plan really didn't change, but we did make some change to the roof that I'll show you in a minute. But we think that we really haven't impacted the function. Still works the same. We just have a bit less paving to do and to maintain and to build. So I think those were all positive improvements. Like I said, the plan is still the same. You know, the wash bay is kind of at the north end of the building, and the heater's in there, and their supplies are in there. The 2 service bays, and then the kind of office area, the bus driver's lounge, toilet rooms, offices, parts, Bo's office in there. So it's a very compact and very efficient plan to the building. And the one significant change we came up with a few weeks ago was to kind of change the slope on the high roof over the bays to be a single slope going to the back of the building to take all the water to the back of the building rather than splitting it either way. So we'll have a bit of a slope on that roof. And instead of building parapets around it, we're just going to have the top of the roof be exposed as a low slope roof to get the water to the back of the building. And I think that's it.
All right, so Betsy Valley, this is primarily a remodeling project. So we've got new interior doors. We have replacing soffits and fascia, a new roof on the building, ceiling replacements, HVAC upgrades. I believe we're converting from steam to hot water, and then some electrical upgrades to improve, get rid of some of the old electrical panels and upgrade the distribution throughout the building. And that's pretty much what's happening there.
And the front.
I was gonna say, did we
Front.
find some money to 165 at front?
Are we doing the front?
Yes.
We're doing the front. We're doing the
Yes.
front. The canopy, right?
Yeah, the canopy.
Yep.
It looks a lot like Ann's and the new school.
Be similar on a smaller scale.
On a
Smaller
smaller
scale.
scale, right? Yep. And I don't have any 3Ds on that, but and then the high school, middle school, phase 2, which is the remainder of the remodeling. So upgrading the science classrooms in this area here, upgrading the group toilet rooms, new ceiling in the cafeteria and lighting in the cafeteria, expanding the kitchen, the servery out into the cafeteria space, ceilings, floorings, restoring the south corridor. So right now, this room actually impedes you from going from one side to the other. So we're going to get rid of that and make that into a corridor again, and upgrade the remainder of the space. And again, at this building, we'll be converting from steam to hot water. Where you don't already have hot water, I believe the middle school already has hot water, but the rest of the original building is going to be upgraded to hot water. Some other plumbing upgrades and some electrical upgrades as well. And then the schedule. So let's see, Lake Ann, I believe, is already out on the streets, because I know we're getting questions on that, R5s and things like that. So everything else, the the first 4 projects up through high school phase 1 is going out this late fall. Betsy Valley and phase 2 are going out in the winter. When I say winter, this is like December-ish. The goal is to get construction over the summer of 2022, and for some of the bigger projects into 2023. So you might have a 2, and this is really Wolgast's realm of work, but you might have some remodeling phases that go from summer to summer. So that's why the high school, it's quite a big effort to get the HVAC upgrades over one summer. So that'll actually be a 2-year project. I think that's it. Yep, that's it. That's the last slide.
Transportation is out right now.
Transportation, yes, that's on the street as well. Any questions?
I always appreciate you coming for these. That's very nice. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad to do it. It was a nice drive today.
Well, sunset was gorgeous.
Oh, it was. We actually saw it over, is it Lake Hanlon?
Over down by Ludington.
Down by Cadillac.
Oh, Lake Mitchell.
Lake Mitchell, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lake Mitchell.
Yeah.
That's nice.
What time is it setting now, around 3 o'clock?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 o'clock, it's like.
Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, John.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Always super helpful to have you come. Okay, so I think we can skip down to Platte River, which I'm so disappointed.
We were this close. Like literally.
I thought it was going to happen. I kept checking my email.
I'm not excited until you're like, it's signed. It's
Oh,
done.
like Friday, we're like, yes, it's coming off.
It was
Nope.
supposed to be. So Bob, Rosa, and the road commission board has agreed to move forward. The only issue that I can really see at this point, there were a couple of concerns that Kirk Harold, our attorney, had. One being the easement issues. We do have those. I did send those descriptions off to him today, and but the big issue that seems to be a little bit of a sticking point is our policy 3305. Section D says that if you're going to sell for less than fair market value to another public entity, you can do that, but it has to have a deed restriction in the sale that it would remain public use. And so that's the part right now that our attorney is saying is a problem. Their attorney is saying that that's not necessary. I did send our policy off to Matt Skeels today to share with his attorney and let him know that that is our board policy, that we would have to amend our board policy. So at this time, that's not something we can do. But I did offer up a potential suggestion if this is what we wanted to do, look for a compromise, that we would say that it would have to remain public use for the next 5 to 10 years. If that's a fair compromise that you would be willing to pursue. Their attorney's concern is that if it's stated now, it's public use only, that down the road, if they ever run into any kind of funding issues, because we know roads are not always historically funded, that they would be able to use that or sell that to support the road commission in some way, shape, or form down the road. Matt doesn't think that that's something that's on their radar at all, but that was something more that their attorney was pushing, to not be bound to something for life.
Maybe they'll change the mind. If it's the attorney saying, they can go over the wall.
Sure. He did bring up the 3 points that, they don't want to be tied to something forever. We know we've uncovered some issues where we get tied to things that happened long ago.
A lot of that.
That they, they want to be able to move forward and have some flexibility. And then also, of course, that, they don't know what their future is going to hold with funding and things like that. So I understand their perspective. He did say that it would probably be about 5 years before they would probably really be able to build their new facility because of funding and things like that. So he seemed to think that a compromise of something with a time restriction or something on there would be acceptable, as long as you guys are comfortable with moving forward with that. I would need to check with Kirk to make sure that that's not like an indefinite issue, but I think there could be a way we can move that forward. So I'm hopeful. I'm still working through that with them. keep you posted. I was really hoping tonight was the night.
Maybe it'll be a Christmas present.
Right,
gonna
yes.
be
It's gonna be in a big red bow. Right, Katina?
Right. But we've officially moved beyond the their road commission is ready to go.
Yeah.
So I think that was a
Now
big
it's just the
hurdle.
lawyers.
Any questions about that?
No.
Just waiting. I also believe that we should have paperwork from the easement from Homestead any day now. With that finalized, Kirk was also working on that. It's done. They just need the finalized paperwork. And policy, I guess, Jason or Nikki, do you want to about
I
policy?
wasn't part of that.
You want me to share?
Yeah. Well, I'm sitting there looking at it going, has it been, feels like 2 or 3 months ago.
It's been a while. The last
Okay.
time that we met,
So it was Chris. Okay.
yeah, we shared with you, I think, over the phone. Yeah. So basically, we revisited the high school and middle school handbook
Okay.
and more specifically looking at consequences for misbehavior or violations of the code of conduct. And many of them were automatic suspensions or out of school suspensions. And so the policy committee looked at some ways that we could keep kids in school and looking at some more alternatives being in school
Do we
suspension.
have an ISS room anymore?
We do, yes. I think the concern that I've heard from Mike and Dave on the changes are staffing and coverage for that. They are looking at some alternatives and they are using like social suspension, but also looking at some of the language that the policy committee came up with when we were looking at the athletic testing policy, bringing in some community service options instead of automatic suspensions for vaping and things like that, but moving it into getting them into the Saturday school so that they can get support with substance abuse, trying to get them connected to a counselor to meet with on a regular basis to help with the substance abuse versus missing school and not helping get them the support that they need to overcome that. So those were some of the suggestions brought up. At this point, it doesn't look like any of this would actually be put into place until the next school year, but wanting to make sure that we're doing some due diligence on how we provide some different alternatives.
Do you have any data on like what offenses are occurring the most? What are, I mean, you know, obviously
Dave has
keeping it
that.
private without names or anything like that, just a breakdown of data of what offenses, where are the problem areas?
Sure. So I will say that vaping has risen to the top lately, and the substance abuse pieces seems to be popping up a lot higher than normal. When I think Stephanie asked me today about the Juul lawsuit, and back in the summer when we were talking about it, I asked Dave if that was something we should participate in. He said it hadn't really been a big problem here at Benzie, so we did not join that lawsuit, which the deadline was August 31st.
It has been extended.
Oh, has it? Oh, I will reach back out to Kirk.
I believe to December 1st.
Oh, if that's the
I
case.
need to get on it then.
We'll be getting back on that bandwagon. So that's been popping up though. So we are investigating vape detectors in the bathroom. We're going to trial out a couple and see if they're useful and successful or not in detecting
We
that.
talked to Traverse City about that because weren't they one of the first ones? to put
They
theirs
were, and we're working with a company that's out of California that has some integrated technology. So it would work with a camera that would be posted outside the bathroom. So currently we do have bathroom camera monitors that monitor who's going in and out at what times. This sensor would integrate with the camera. So it would actually capture the time and date stamp
of who
when
goes in.
and then who went in and
Like
who
a red
came
light
out.
camera.
So that, and then you could also share that clip with our school resource officer or whomever needs to be shared with.
Yeah, because obviously we can't have cameras in the
In the bathroom.
Correct. Yeah. But they would be, set up outside so it could monitor.
And I shared with her when we looked at these a couple years ago that Traverse City was very much against them.
Yeah.
But it looks like because of technology, they
I
have
have to believe the tech is
improved
getting better.
much better than they
Right.
have in the past.
And
so.
the company that we're working with is called Verkada.
Mhm.
They do not have any northern Michigan schools at this point, but they are working with some downstate. So he did give me some names of schools that I could reach out to and get some feedback from them.
Good.
You know, the benefit drawback, I guess, is that we would have to probably use their camera system if we wanted it to be integrated in a nice, neat package. We do have cameras already that are working, so it wouldn't necessarily be that we couldn't continue to use our own cameras. But when that would send the clip to your phone and let you know that there's something happening, you would only have the date timestamp. You wouldn't necessarily have the video to go with it. So we're looking into, you know, could we potentially move the cameras that are outside of the bathroom and put them in a different location and then just
Needed.
upgrade those
Mhm.
cameras? So,
Makes sense.
and it is also web-based, so it would be housed online, and there's unlimited storage for it, and you'd be able to access it from your phone.
And it would be
from
on the locker
home.
rooms too,
What was that?
the locker rooms as well.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all of the entrances to the locker rooms.
Yeah, we actually were just looking at one bathroom area in particular that we were going to trial and see if it was beneficial. They did tell us that they don't have any cameras to trial because of shipping delays, but they did tell us that they have a 30-day trial. So you could purchase the camera, you have 30 days to try it out, and if it doesn't work, you can get your money back. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. I did ask him to send me their pricing and see if they had any competitive bidding sites that they're using. I think currently they were around 3,000 for the camera, and I want to say it was like 1,500 for the sensor. But they said that they would get back to me with competitive school price bids because those were MSRP prices.
So back to the policy committee with the handbook. Our goal was to keep kids in school.
Right.
Every time we looked at every single policy, it was how do we keep kids in school, because sending them home is not the answer, and that they're not getting the support. So I think we're gonna regroup. We're gonna meet with Dave and Mike and kind of go over that. And we understand that this is going to put more pressure, not pressure, more accountability of finding places for these kids to go with these policies like ISS or a community service. It's going to make someone else have a responsibility, but we really believe kids need to stay in school.
Are we seeing, and I don't know if you know this, or if you would need to look up data or information, are we seeing a larger problem at the high school level or the middle school level?
With
like vaping or discipline instances?
I think that they've seen a rise in vaping in both middle school and high school. I know that, you know, there was a sixth grader recently, you know, I mean, is that young
I'm just
you know,
curious, like at what point we would think perhaps of having a principal or, you know, for middle school. Like, when would we say, okay, maybe this is big enough, like especially with adding a sixth grade to middle school, at what point is the entire high school and middle school maybe too much for two people?
And I don't know if it's necessarily an administrator role that it may be too much for, but maybe another student officer or a liaison or a dean of students or something like that along those lines. But I don't know if another administrator is necessarily the solution for that.
I know when I started last year, that was something that I was looking at exploring to see, you know, does it make sense to have a separate administrator for middle school and a separate for high school? After being up here, I realized that we share so many teachers and staff, and being in one building, it makes it tricky to delineate middle school from high school. And I think it would be, you know, it would prove to be pretty confusing. I think when staff are shared, and most of our staff are shared right now, there's not very many that are solely high school, solely middle school. So that was something that, you know, was uncovered when I was working with Steve and Dave last year to try to decide that. And so the systems that they're working on, I think, are probably the piece that needs to be developed more than anything, is having a solid system and ways to support staff in classrooms, looking at how do we give them the support that they need so students can stay in classes and be successful, because Currently, the model is if students get sent out, it's a one-person show to handle all of that.
Yeah.
And that's proving to not be successful. So that was really why we had conversations about how do we build a system, how do we build supports, how do we ensure that the staff have what they need so they can be successful. And that's been a conversation that Mike has started to have with staff too, that, hey, I'm one person. You have a much better shot of handling this if you deal with it in the moment than putting it on my list and hoping I get to it before tomorrow.
Yeah, sending the student out of the room is not always the best solution.
Correct. Yeah.
It's the easiest.
It's
but
the
it's not
easiest. It's not
Sure.
the best.
Yep. And so those are some of the things that we're looking at. And I think the policy committee had some really great suggestions about how do we continue, if the goal is to keep kids in school, in class, what do we do then? What supports can we provide to make that happen? And so we are looking at some of those. I know the elementary buildings have adopted some different things using zones of regulation, having support staff push in versus sending kids out are some of the ways that they're addressing it at the elementaries. And so we're looking at what kind of alternatives do we have for middle school and high school to support in a similar fashion. For policy?
I think so. We'll just get after and figure that out. Figure out another date.
That was a while ago, but that, we met a few times on that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And policy, remind me, I'm sorry, we've talked about a lot of things tonight. Policy is going to be getting together because you're going to have to.
MIOSHA. Or the IOSHA.
The OSHA.
Yes,
order.
MIOSHA, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Soon.
So it'll be.
Yeah, we have
This
to.
week,
Yeah,
hopefully.
Yes.
because that's probably going to be part of a special meeting.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so
we
we'll-
may very likely
We'll
need
just
to
be
do it.
kicking it all
So
out
you'll
in
be
one
getting that
meeting.
together soon. Okay.
And it does have to be adopted and ready to roll on the 6th,
The 6th.
which means that we couldn't, yeah, right. That's what I was saying. It has to be ready for the 6th. So we would have to do it before.
Prior.
Yes.
So,
So
do
we couldn't necessarily do that on the Monday the 6th. We would have to go days prior.
The week before that.
so do we want to talk about what I told you? Do we want to look at that availability or no?
We can if you want to do that.
Okay, sorry. So it kind of links to policy, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't get my phone open.
Use your face recognition.
It doesn't
Oh,
work.
great.
So when do we need it by? The 6th?
6th.
Yeah, and this order that came from Troon says, because that's where I was like, oh, the 6th, we're fine. But it says it has to be adopted by December 6th. So I was interpreting that as like by the end of the day on the 6th, but apparently
So-
Or the evening.
this has to be ready
Should
to
say
roll.
before the 6th.
Yeah,
So we are going to have, so that really puts, so what we're looking at doing instead of trying to do a special meeting is move the December meeting up. So we don't have to bring everyone in and do another special meeting just for this policy. But seeing that it's not the 6th, now that changes things again.
and this could always be pushed back depending on what happens in the course. of the
Exactly.
summer.
I think that's like an ever-changing thing.
Right.
Do we want to try to, do you want a meeting on the 6th or do you want to?
We have to meet before that.
I know, but she's saying it could be
Policy
pushed
needs to
back.
go before it, Then the board needs to approve what policy does,
Because
right?
we were going to do the first Monday of December, but that's the 6th. So
Potentially doing it on the 6th, but I
mm,
don't know. I mean,
we can talk. I guess we can just table that and figure that out offline. I
It's
asked
probably gonna have to be a special meeting.
it. Yeah, I think at this point it's going to have to be because I was just making sure Brian was here on the 6th and he is because I wouldn't be. So, but now that just throws everything out.
so potentially looking at Friday the 29th, is that what you're thinking? And
Yeah,
that
but we would have to
works.
do a special meeting then because we can't have our December meeting then.
Correct, yeah, we wouldn't be able to do December, unless you wanted to move it to December 1st.
I have a Paul Oliver, so
Mhm,
thing that I
mhm.
kind of want to do.
About the 2nd.
Second, I'm good.
Good Lord.
Can we do the 29th?
No, we could do. you
Can
said
do
you
the
could
30th.
The 3rd, Friday.
Nope,
No.
not doing the 3rd.
Can't
We
do
can do
the
the
3rd.
30th though, that Tuesday.
I can't do the 30th.
No.
I got
So
procedure.
back to Monday the 29th.
So maybe we just
We'll figure it out.
Or we could.
send out a message and see what people's
Yep.
availability
I
is,
might
I guess.
Do one.
Because we are 4 of 7, so.
I can cancel.
I mean, for a special
Who could do
meeting,
the second?
yeah.
Could you do the second?
I could pop. Yeah, everybody else could.
Oh.
Okay. But maybe we'll just get a hold of all of them.
But if we did the second, then we could make that the December meeting. Is that,
Mhm.
and then we could be,
Really?
does that work for you?
Makes no difference, I guess.
I think we still have to make a special meeting and
Mm-hmm. And then cancel, yeah, that would be fine.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, we'll figure that
But I
out.
don't know that we would necessarily have a ton in December. I mean, maybe Platte River. It'll be on the agenda no matter what.
You say that every month. We're not going to have a ton this
Won't
month.
we have the audit one in
It's only a
December?
week.
Hopefully we
Mhm.
would have the audit, yes.
So that's a pretty significant.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I don't know if she could have it ready that soon.
Right.
Or-
So we still,
think
that's what I'm
we'll just
saying, we
have to
still
do a
may
special
Or we
need
just
it
have a
in
special
in
meeting.
our
Yeah,
regular
I think
meeting.
we were trying to avoid, but I think we're going to have to probably have,
So
unfortunately.
would you
We're gonna have to do
prefer,
a special meeting with a quorum, like figure out
sure,
as many as we can get and then just stick with our
Just try
regular
to do the
meeting.
whole.
would you prefer the 29th? I mean, all of you guys were fine on the 29th and all of you were fine on the 2nd?
Yep, 29th would be
We
preferable.
have 4. The 29th is better.
I'll text him and see.
Is that okay for you? Do you want to do 6 or 7?
Doesn't matter. 6 is fine.
Just 6.
All right,
It's dark regardless.
6 o'clock? Yeah, it feels like the middle of the night right now.
I know it does.
It is like 4 in the morning.
It's 4 in the morning
Pretty
right
much.
now.
Hush, it means I have to get up an hour and a half.
I think so. I think that's exactly what it is, Jason.
I think so.
4 in the morning.
Okay,
We will get that up.
sorry that took so long.
No, that's okay. And then the finance committee, I had Justin give me an update today. So as you know, we've been working through the audit. It proved to be a lot more intensive than we realized, given all of the issues with reconciliation, the switch over to MIS, the fact that there were 5 different people doing payroll last year, 3 different superintendents, 2 different finance directors.
And a
There's a little bit of change
partridge in a
and
pear
2
tree.
different, payable, accounts payable and receivables. So our auditors had given us the deadline of Friday to get all the reconciliations done. And then we have until tomorrow to turn in the final few documents that they were looking for. And Justin is pretty confident that that will be all done and ready to roll.
Awesome.
So the auditors are hoping to have a final product done to us by the end of the month and ready to send off to the state. So as long as we hit December 1, we should be good to get our state aid notes for November and December in December.
Okay.
We currently have 1.8 million in our fund balance. And we plan to use that to cover the 3 payrolls that we would have to hit until that state aid note comes out December 20th. So that should cover us because it's about 300 and something thousand a payroll. So that should cover us.
Instead of doing a short-term borrowing thing.
Correct, yes. So fortunately, good decisions have been made in the past to get us to this place, so we didn't need to borrow. We do have ESSER 2 sitting in reserve in case we need to draw that down. So we have about 540,000 that we could draw down if we need to, if we get close with payroll and funds and expenditures. So he wanted to share that out.
So we have been paid with SR2?
We have taken out the first half of ESSER 2.
Okay.
And the second half of ESSER 2 is still waiting to be drawn down.
Okay.
And so that was where we were looking to use funds to pay for the auditorium and to pay for the R0 if we end up not getting
FEMA doesn't pay
reimbursed.
for them. Okay.
And so that should cover both of those 2 things and the bonuses for staff.
Okay.
That's it.
Oh, that was a marathon. I bet you are. Audience participation. I can read the blurb, or I can just ask, do you have anything to say about agenda items only?
A quick question on the, oh my goodness. First of all, it's fantastic that you're doing FAFSA training.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have it when our older daughter started college, and that was a nightmare. So kudos.
It is a lot easier than it used to be.
Yes.
It's difficult. It's really difficult. So the Crystal Lake proficiency reporting,
Mhm.
I know it sounds like it's a pilot. They're going to try it for a year there and then possibly, well, our kids will be in middle school by then. So either way, we'll get to it. All right.
We are
Thanks.
hoping to move it up the grades as we go.
Okay.
That is the ultimate goal that we're trying to get to.
But she may be graduated by then.
Yeah, she'll just be behind every one of them, in front of every one of them.
Hopefully not, because that's when my daughter will be done, and then I'll be done.
Stop that.
Wait, what?
Yeah, no, you were not even going there right now. No. Who's Ava's teacher? We need to
I
talk
moved
to
to
him.
adjourn.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, discussion topics. Return to Benzie plan.
Sure. So at 4:50 today, we got an early heads up.
450. I'm sorry.
We did get an early
being
heads up.
facetious today.
So Michelle Klein from the Benzie Leelanau Health Department shared what would be coming tomorrow. So the official order will be released tomorrow. And it is to clarify a few things. So it's basically keeping the same order from August 27th, but adding in some clarifying definitions about what a face mask is. And then also they're adding a section that states, furthermore, this order shall not apply to the following persons: students and officials or referees participating in testing programs specified by the Benzie Leelanau Health Department, publication titled Benzie Leelanau Health Department Athletic and Performing Arts Guidance for Schools, issued November 8th, 2021, and are engaged in practice, competition, or performance where the wearing of a mask would be unsafe or interfere with their ability to perform. Bullet point 2 is residential schools that are operating under a written mitigation plan approved by the health officer.
What was that?
What's a resident?
What is that?
I think that would be like the Leelanau school.
Yeah.
Oh,
Arts
Yeah,
Academy.
interlocking.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, interlocking. The accompanying document from the Benzie Leelanau Health Department Athletic and Performance Guidance will include the testing requirement if masks are not used, that athletes, officials, referees, or those performing in the arts may utilize serial testing 2 to 3 times a week as recommended, with a minimum of 1 time a week required to perform without a mask during practice, competition, or performances. One of these tests is preferred to be completed the day of or prior to competition or performances. Athletes and performers may remove masks only while actively participating, competing on the court, or performing, and will wear masks, for example, when they're on the bench, sidelines, or behind a stage. All others attending the event would continue to be masked per the public order.
It sounds like a win, but I just realized that bullet point. I didn't read it. One of the tests is preferred to be completed the day of and prior to the competition or performance.
So you do a rapid test the day of the game.
But but here's the thing. We talked to Eli. This is going to be a management nightmare now for him, because he's like, okay, Tuesday girls play, Wednesday wrestlers, Thursday, where he wanted to do just a one and like they did last year. But it says is preferred, so that word would still allow Eli to do that. He doesn't have the hands.
Well,
to
and I
do
think
this.
that's where you guys have to adopt the language that you would like it to say, because this will now move into the Benzie Return to Learning plan, having a new caveat for athletics, which prior was not there. So the new language going in would be that students would be able to remove a mask. It would basically be this: you just need to decide the number of testing requirements that you would like and when.
Mm-hmm.
Right. None.
So performing arts, does that also refer to band and choir classes, or just performances?
I would assume that would be while they're performing, which would be during the school
Concerts.
day. No, I think
Oh,
that
you-
would
you
also
think it would
be,
be?
I believe it would be.
What are they doing now for band and choir? Are they
They're
masking?
wearing the mask with the slit and the bell covers and all that good stuff.
Okay. So that they may choose to continue.
And if they're testing, I mean, that would be,
Or vaccinated.
this does not specify vaccination.
It does not specify vaccination yet.
So my guess is it would mean anybody that's going to do it would have to participate.
Or you mask.
That is a good question. I can
I
ask
was
her for
gonna say,
clarification.
I would
Wow.
ask for clarification on that.
She will say, now I'm not going to say I'm not going to put words in her mouth, but because so many people who are vaccinated right now are testing positive, this is just a safety.
Masking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
Mhm.
That's what we'll be saying.
I can hear it coming already.
And it
So.
refers to referees too,
Correct.
officials and
Yep.
referees. So.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're going to have to be day of.
And this
test.
only applies for schools who are under the health order, right?
Yeah.
I mean, our kids, when they go to Buckley or.
Oh, what about kids that come here?
So correct. This is only guidance for Benzie Leelanau schools. So if we play Frankfurt, we play Glen Lake, we play Suttons Bay, then as long as we've tested that week, then you are able to take off your mask. If we go to Manistee and they're under a mandate,
They have to.
then you have to mask.
what
Well,
people
about
coming
coming
here?
here, like Kingsley
People
comes
coming
here.
here would be able to not be masked if they had tested, but we won't know that. So that was the tricky part of this guidance.
It's a tough one.
I mean, we
It's a
could
logistic
say
nightmare.
in order to play here, you must do a rapid test before you take the floor. That's not going to happen.
Oh, no.
That's not
Oh,
possible.
that's not possible. And that, whoa,
I know.
we will be hated.
We would effectively end our season before it even
Yeah,
starts.
we wouldn't play anything.
Would the policy committee have to work on this?
I
We
think
need
because
something
it's
tonight.
going into effect and I don't know if I read this, but it says this order will be issued tomorrow, will be effective immediately, and will have 3 main changes.
Because he's got
So,
sports starting
We
this
have
week.
to adopt this, but when you guys meet, because you're gonna be meeting anyway, you would want to discuss the language of the return to.
But we need the language tonight because of sports
Oh,
that are
Correct.
tomorrow
Sports are
night.
starting next week.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well.
Which if we got this earlier, we could have built the language and brought it to you, unfortunately. So I'm sorry.
You couldn't do that when you got it at 5:00?
It was still being worked
I mean, it does say
This
recommend.
afternoon.
It says
It does say recommended. So
recommended. I mean, just stick with the wording.
Don't
yeah,
like the word recommended, though.
I would recommend that you go with the one time a week and do it on a Monday morning, which provides us a couple of options. It provides us the weekend, so contact tracing is very limited. If
Mhm.
they're coming in first thing Monday morning and testing positive,
Agree.
that means we don't have to trace back over Sunday and
week.
Saturday. So there's less contact tracing for staff. It also gives you a fresh start for the week of what's coming.
Is that a cell phone number? Huh.
So
Okay. I would agree with that recommendation because at this point, we're going to take what we can get. We haven't had no movement since August 27th, and this was the first gleam of hope we have.
I think it's a better than we expected compromise to move forward so that we're not making athletes wear masks while they're participating in sports. Or our performers who've worked really hard for the play will now be able to take their mask off and sing their hearts out.
Exactly. And we can hear them.
on stage.
Correct.
Yeah.
I guess my question is still, other schools that will be coming here because this mandate is housed over Benzie, if they're coming into our building, are they going to be required to either mask or test?
I guess it's up to their own policies, right?
No, it's
No.
up to our policy.
So I say we hand them our policy, say this is our policy, and we leave it at that. It will be their responsibility whether they test or not, and they house that in their district, and they figure that out on their own. Because for us to police that is
Yeah.
going to be a logistical
Yes,
nightmare,
we can't.
and I don't think others will be either.
Okay.
What we were told on the last health call that I had was because there was some superintendents sharing that they had been going to games and policing masks in their hands and having parents get belligerent with them. And the health department said, Dr. Meyerson said, as long as it's posted on your doors and that you've made it known, he said, we don't expect you to police it. We don't expect that the police are going to come police it, and we're not coming to police it.
So it's like Menards in April.
This is out there right now too.
Yep.
It's by our doors. They're all up.
Yeah. I mean, we.
So Eli should send that out to all at the beginning of the season, saying this is our policy.
Yep.
Yes, he can absolutely send that out. Say this is what we will be doing now that he'll have guidance. And same thing applies when we go to other schools. They will tell us what they're expecting from us. And then we'll follow whatever the school that's in charge that we're at.
Yep. Has Eli seen this since it came out at
No,
4:50?
he was gone this
Okay.
afternoon.
Okay. I think he'll be
He will be pleased.
pleased.
It's better than we expected.
Yeah.
And that's it for me.
Is there anything else you need on that from us?
No, if you guys are fine with that, then I will just put on here once a week on Mondays.
Yep.
And then I'll clean up the language
Is it
and return
under
it back.
action topics? So when we move to approve it, we'll just have to, do we need to get
They
the
approve
language?
what is written with the
Once a week.
expectation of once a week on Mondays.
Okay. Wonderful. And they're providing the tests, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we're getting them through our
ISD.
local ISD at this time.
Which are
There was
running
a
out.
survey that was sent out that I need to complete. I got all of the information back on number of tests that we currently have. I think in district, we probably have just over 1,200 tests that we can use. One test per week just for athletics will probably be about 150 a week.
Okay, don't kill me. Elementary sports.
This doesn't say anything about elementary sports. It does, it's very generic saying athletes. But previously,
we
they
don't
did
wanna
not
be-
test anybody under 12.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
So-
that was a.
Okay, we'll figure that out.
I think that goes back to
Wherever you're at.
the people policing it.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Onward and upward. Action topics. Okay, we have no administrative appointments this evening. Approval of the two new bus purchases.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Approval of R0 machines.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Approval of request of auditorium bids.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Approval of snow removal bids.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We need to table the river transfer, which, oh, we were so close, Amy. Approval of, approval.
It says platter anyway, so
Yeah.
we should probably take the R off.
Thanksgiving platters. Approval of return to Benzie plan with the specifications. You want to make a motion saying the,
With the recommendations, for the one-time tested a week, being on a Monday.
anything else you need in there? Okay, you have a motion.
How about on Monday for the first day of the week over there?
Yeah, because they're absent. We have one motion.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of the district's credit card for Eli Harris, ESS employee.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of credit card for Michael Hammer, middle school, high school assistant principal.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
That's-
Opposed?
Just me.
Motion carries. Approval of one-time payment for staff extra duties as assigned for COVID-19 of $500.
So moved. Oh, Jason said
I'll put
support.
support.
Any discussion?
So deserved. I wish it could be more.
Me too. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Audience participation on anything about anything. Anything? Awesome. Okay, board communication. We'll figure out the December date. We're probably going to have to do a special meeting. We'll figure that out amongst yourselves. Geez, 7 announcements.
We can just read them.
Katina.
We're going to call this the
I'll make
Amy
it fast.
meeting.
How about this?
We can do it.
Congratulations to our cross country team for making it to state finals. Hunter is 3 times a charm,
amazing.
state champion. Miley Kelly was 6th, and Elise Johnson was 21st.
Wonderful.
The end of the first marking period happened last Friday. Report cards are planning to be going home this Friday. Second marking period began today. And this Friday and Saturday is the fall play Harvey at 7 p.m. Tickets can be purchased at the door. National Honor Society induction ceremony is November 17th at 7 p.m. Thanksgiving break is the 25th and 26th of November. And the VEX IQ Robotics Challenge Tournament, the next one is December 4th. at
Didn't
8
we have one this past weekend?
We
Yes, we
did
did.
have one, and I believe our team was 12.
Yep.
Yes.
I think we also need to add that there was honorable mentions with our football team this past week that were announced.
Soccer.
And soccer. Anyone else?
It was it Kevin and Chad
And Dominic.
Yep.
and Dominic, and then who were football?
What was it?
Oh,
Steve Aaron was soccer, and then Wooten.
Michael Wooten,
Wooten.
Roger
Lammy.
Lammy.
Oh, we really need the
There
third
were
one.
4.
There was 4 of them.
I'm trying to picture the picture because it was Lammy and then it was Wooten and
Childers.
I don't know.
We will make them up on the December
Yes, we're
meeting.
gonna have to pick that up.
And I also think we need to say something about Renee. Announce the funeral's tomorrow.
The funeral is tomorrow
For David.
at 2 p.m. at Westside Church. There
Right,
is a half.
72.
What was
Yes.
that?
I'm 72.
Yes, it is. And there is a half day dismissal for Lake Ann students at 11:50, and lunches, sack lunches, are going home with families.
And our thoughts and prayers are with Renee and her entire family right now.
Yeah, lots of love going to them.
Okay. Anything else? Can I get an adjournment?
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye. Thanks for coming.